Igor writes, do you worry you lost your core content with all the money, tools, equipment? Now you mostly buy it instead of make. Yeah, I think about that all the time. And I've actually been given a lot of thought to that of late about, it's a natural cycle. Once I kind of got into it and started reading about a little bit about it and managing money and the psychology of coming into money, what often happens if you come from just the average family, I would say we just came from middle class, and there were times where we were below middle class when my dad got hurt and wasn't able to work. And I've said before, my mom had to go get government cheese, and we had that for a while. Green stamps, I think they used to be. So I never had anything. We never bought new cars. We never bought very little. Didn't eat out very much. We shopped most of our clothing, or at least half our clothing, was purchased at thrift stores, and it was not a big deal. It was just a different time then. And there were a lot of people in that situation. All of our neighbors we were all in that same situation, and there wasn't any shame or stigma attached to it. It was just the way life was. It was just simpler in those days. So, and I struggled just like everyone else, worked construction, worked by the hour, had my own business, and that was never super profitable. It was always just feast and famine, like construction is, you have or you don't. And then got into, I started my eBay business and started seeing bigger chunks of money for sure, but it was an expensive business to run. And as soon as the money came in, the money went out, so that I never really experienced it there either. And then YouTube, and that was a grind too. I was trying to do YouTube for years, 5-6 years hard, where I was doing YouTube almost full time, as well as running my Jeep parts while we were homesteading, and that whole transition was just working hard and grinding, sacrificing, doing the work of two people, as well as Mrs. W, logging. And the whole time, from the time I married her and met her, I was running my businesses, keeping my wife at home, taking care of my family, and trying to get things going, trying to get YouTube going on that. So if someone, and I don't know what the spirit of this comment is, and I'm not going to assume that you're coming with a must be nice type of a comment. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but that does not have an effect on me. There's nothing any one of you can say to shame me about the way the decision I've made and maybe the opulence that I've surrounded myself with, because I have busted my ass to get here, to use colorful language here, to be frank. I've worked hard, and it hasn't been given to me. So it's very short-sighted. If you got to realize that I'm 53. You have to realize that 10 years ago I was broke, living in my parents' house at 43 with a family. So if you are sitting out there at 40, 43 in that position and looking up to me and saying, oh, it must be nice, and you've lost your way and all of that, it doesn't affect me because I have worked so hard to do this, and you could do the same thing. Now, with that being said, are some of the decisions that I've made and some of the things I've purchased and surrounded myself with, is it ridiculous? It is ridiculous. Yes, Mrs. W and I, after living it for a year or so, having all this stuff and all these toys, came to the conclusion, actually about a month ago, that this is ridiculous. And it takes too much to take care of it. Yeah, it's fun and it's very exciting, and you get that rush to get a new motorcycle or a new trailer, but then the hard work sets in. It's not unlike elk hunting, where you get so excited and you get up that morning and you come up on your sights and you squeeze that round off, and it's so exciting. It's just the most intense experience. And then the hard work starts in. Now you got to go down there and you've got to butcher the thing or put it out of its misery, and then you got to skin it and bone it and pack it out in freezing conditions, on your back, and all this stuff, and the hard work moves in. Well, that's what happens when you get all this stuff and you complicate your life. So the funny thing is that this is a natural cycle for people that have come from nothing, that come into some money. Many of them kind of lose their mind. It's like, I can do this now. The idea that to be able to go and to buy a new truck and pay cash for a new truck was so far out of my paradigm and understanding, it would have been laughable. Laughable to me even 10 years ago. I was driving a $4,000 truck. So all of this comes in, this newfound wealth, and you can lose yourself in it a little bit. You can, all these things I dreamed of my whole life when I was a kid. Look at me, I mean, right in front of you, living out childhood fantasies of motorcycles and toys and chainsaws and all these things, and sawmills, all the things I dreamed of doing, I was able to do. Well, what was that like? What was that experience like? Did it make my life better? Did it make it happier? No, it just was a lot of stress and frustration. Your whole day can be spent trying to fix things and move things and worrying about getting them under cover to the point where you're like, enough. And then, so what did I learn? That's not really where it's at. I think where it's at is having a life that's simple, organized, and somewhat regimented, and that's what we're moving into. So the new shop is going to be fun, where no longer am I going to bring all of this stuff in here. Nothing passes through the threshold that isn't an essential thing that I've decided to have. So what Mrs. W and I are doing, you can't do everything at once, you have to do things systematically, is the way to simplify your life and declutter. First off, well, we need a simple house, right? The house we're living in takes too much maintenance. It's big, it's a ridiculous boomer McMansion. I'm not saying I regret buying it. It was what we wanted to be here. It was what we could get. It worked out. It was fine. It may turn out to be the greatest blessing of all time. It might turn out to be the ultimate community center, and that's kind of what it looks like. But we don't want to live there. I don't want to live in a... It alienates you from your friends. It alienates you from your community. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous to have something like that. So a small, modest, quality craftsman style home that is more of a cottage style is what we'd like to have. So that's a big part of it. Okay, we did all this crazy stuff. This isn't making our life better. It's actually making it worse. Let's get back to fundamentals, back to where we were at, and smaller house. So yes, to answer your question, I think it was a mistake. Well, I don't know if it was a mistake. It was just, it was a direction that I went to experience it. Yeah, it was not a mistake. It was, is this where contentment and happiness and joy is? And let's go there and try it out to find out, nope, it is not. Okay, so where is happiness and contentment? You got to ask yourself, what do I do? What do I find myself doing when I can do anything with no rules? Let's say it's a long weekend. Let's say your wife has taken the kids and they've gone out to visit her parents out of state somewhere, and you're left alone in your shop to your devices to do anything you want with no oversight. What do you find yourself doing? Well, I find myself out here in my shop, working on axe handles, polishing on, working on tools. I'll fire up the forge and build a little hook I need for something, or punch a hole in something, or I'm working on my motorcycles, or the other time. That's the type of thing I enjoy doing. And so I said, well, that's what we're going to focus on. Get rid of the kiteboarding stuff. Get rid of the mountain climbing stuff. There was a time in your life where you did that. There was a season for that. Are you really going to be up and free solo rock climbing or doing, leading with natural? You're not doing that stuff anymore. Let's get serious. You haven't done it for 10 years. You're not going to do it anymore. It's time to let it go. Get rid of it. So focus on what you do. And what I want to do in the last few years is relationships are a big portion. I want to build relationships, friendships. I want to share experiences, i.e. the community center. So I want to choose sports that are going to be where I can involve other people that are more communal. So the motorcycle and the snow biking is like that. We can organize rides, and I fully am planned to. If you are a moto guy and have a motorcycle and you have moderate capabilities, I can take you on the adventure of a lifetime that you'll never forget. I want to do that sort of thing. Maybe we get together and you stay at one of the places, or we have some guest houses. That's what we're all working towards, tents or yurts or whatever that may be. So that's what I want to do. So narrowing it down to what I want to focus on, I'm going to be into snow biking. I'm going to be into moto. Those two sports work really good together. They rotate with the seasons. I love my one wheel. That does it for me. I could probably get rid of all the snowboarding, maybe keep a set of backcountry skis to go with friends from time to time, but I'm content and happy with that. So that's what I want to build. That's what I want to surround myself with. We can get rid of all those things, a lot of aggravations and worries, equipment, pieces of things you don't use. Send it on to someone else that can use it. Surround yourself with few things of high quality that you enjoy that support your life. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going.